Hi everyone! So last time we have just learned about Old English literature. In the lesson today, we will continue with the next period called Middle English literature. Now let's start. Everyone, look at the picture on the screen. The photo is a manuscript of the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer, one of the most famous literary works of Middle English literature. And now in the lesson today, we will have a closer look at a big pictures of this period. After the lesson, I hope that you will gain some knowledge about Middle English literature, gain some knowledge about the author Chaucer and his work, Canterbury Tales. And you will be able to analyze a story taken from the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. The lesson is divided into two parts. The first part is Middle English literature. The second is the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. The word about which Chaucer wrote was a very different word from that which produced Beowulf. Trong buổi học ngày hôm trước thì chúng ta đã học về Beowulf và ngôn ngữ Anh cổ. Tuy nhiên, thế giới xung quanh Chaucer và tác phẩm The Canterbury Tales đã hoàn toàn khác biệt khi chúng ta đến thời kỳ Middle English literature. So now, developments in language, new structures in society, and changes in how people view the world and their place in it produce literature unlike the heroic literature of the Old English period. After the Norman conquest in 1066, Old English was suppressed in records and official venues in favor of the Norman French language. However, the English language survived among the conquered Anglo-Saxons. The peasant classes spoke only English, and the Normans who spread out into the countryside to take over estates soon learned English of necessity. By the 14th century, English re-emerged as the dominant language, but in a form very different from Anglo-Saxon Old English. Writers of the 13th and 14th centuries describe the coexistence of Norman French and the emerging English now known as Middle English. Vậy như chúng ta thấy thì ngôn ngữ thời kỳ Trung Cổ là một ngôn ngữ sẽ được pha trộn bởi nhiều thứ ngôn ngữ khác nhau. Và trong thời kỳ này thì tiếng Anh đã chịu một sự ảnh hưởng khá lớn của ngôn ngữ Norman French, ngôn ngữ tiếng Pháp. In 1066, the Normans invaded England, and the French of Normandy, together with Latin, was to become the language of court, religion, and science. English was still used by the common people, but there was no literature written in it for 200 years. Như chúng ta thấy, ngôn ngữ chính của thời kỳ này không còn là tiếng Anh nữa, mà là ngôn ngữ tiếng Pháp và tiếng Latin. Do đó, tiếng Anh mặc dù vẫn được sử dụng bởi các thường dân, tuy nhiên chúng ta sẽ thấy là không có tác phẩm nào được viết bằng ngôn ngữ tiếng Anh trong vòng 200 năm. However, the situation of the ruling class speaking one language and the subordinate the other could not last long. The Normans had to learn some English in order to communicate. Moreover, Norman kings set off to the crusade in the 12th century, so they had to persuade people to go there. 100 years after the invasion of the descendants of Norman knights spoke French which was unintelligible by the French people. In the 13th century, England lost control of its French territory, and the Norman nobility had to declare allegiance either to France or to England. Many of them choose England because they were born there. That was a really long story about the history, right? During the late 13th and in the 14th century, English was making a comeback. Vậy thì sau một thời gian rất là dài, thì đến cuối thế kỷ 13 và thế kỷ 14, ngôn ngữ Anh đã quay trở lại. The mood toward France was becoming more and more hostile. It wasn't seen as a mother country, but as a dangerous rival. Although French and Latin were still languages of the British, English was becoming the language of communication even among the nobility. The Hundred Years' War with France marked the definite decline of French and the rise of English as a chief language. Vậy thì cho đến thời kỳ này, sự quan tâm và mến mộ dành cho tiếng Pháp tại Vương quốc đã thay đổi, và như chúng ta thấy, tiếng Anh đã trở lại thành ngôn ngữ chính của đất nước. Okay, so now in the next part we will look at the historical context of the Middle English literature. So it was in the Middle Ages, the king retainer structures of Anglo-Saxon society evolved into feudalism. So what does this mean by feudalism in this period of time? It is a method of organizing society consisting of three estates. The first one is a clergyman, the nobleman, who were granted fiefs by the kings, and the peasant class who worked on the fief. So this kind of social organization provided the medieval world with three estates or orders of society. The clergy, those who tended to the spiritual realm and spiritual needs. The nobility, those who ruled, protected, and provided civil order. And the commoners, those who physically labored to produce the necessities of life of all three estates. However, by Chaucer's lifetime, late 14th century, another social class, a merchant middle class, developed in the growing cities. Many of Chaucer's pilgrims represent the emerging middle class. For example, the merchant, the guildsman, and even the wife of Bath. The church in this period of time was in the center of the society. The most important philosophical influence of the Middle Ages was the church, which dominated life and literature. In medieval Britain, the church referred to the Roman Catholic Church. Although works such as Chaucer's Canterbury Tales reveal an exuberant and often bawdy sense of humor in the Middle Ages, people also seem to have a sense of the brevity of human life and the transitory nature of life on earth. Có thể một số bạn đã từng nghe về khái niệm cái chết đen. Vậy thì cái chết đen là một loại dịch bệnh rất phổ biến vào trong thời kỳ Middle English Literature. The outbreaks of the plague, known as the Black Death, affected both the everyday lives and the philosophy of the Middle Ages. So because of the outbreaks of the plague, the Middle Ages were a very dangerous and unhealthy time. Women frequently died in childbirth. Infant and child mortality rates were high and life expectancy very short. What would now be a very minor injuries frequently result in infection and death, and sanitary conditions and personal hygiene, particularly among the poor, were practically non-existent. Even the moats around the castle that seemed romantic in the 21st century were often little more than open sewers. This period of time witnessed the fall of Roman Empire. There was poverty and disease and war everywhere. There was lack of scientific and cultural advancement. And as I mentioned before, feudalism was a dominant political system. And one more thing, that as the church was the center of the society, the supreme authority was wielded by the church and the emperor. Obscurantism and social oppression was very common in this time. Now let's discuss about Geoffrey Chaucer. He was a great poet, contributed to the formation of the English literary language. So that is why people call him an outstanding English poet before Shakespeare and the first finder of English language. His The Canterbury Tales ranks as one of the greatest poetic works in English. His works were written in the London dialect, which at the time was becoming the spoken language of the majority of the people. So he wrote about a variety in subject matter, genre, tone, and style, and in the complexities presented concerning the human pursuit of sensible existence. Geoffrey Chaucer showed life at its worst. A great artist and humanist, he gave an equally masterly description of good and evil. The great writer believed in man and was optimistically full of hope for the future. So that is why he was a great artist and humanist of this period of time. Now let's discuss about the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. Let's start with the introduction. This one is the most important work of Chaucer, and it is a collection of stories in verse told by people of different standing, and it is a collection of 24 stories. The stories are preceded by a prologue. A short prologue to each story connect them in one work. Như vậy thì có một số những thông tin chung về tác phẩm The Canterbury Tales mà chúng ta cần ghi nhớ, bao gồm việc tác phẩm này sẽ gồm có 24 câu chuyện nhỏ và được kể bởi những người ở trong những vị thế xã hội khác nhau. Và trước mỗi câu chuyện thì chúng ta sẽ có một đoạn mở đầu. Những đoạn mở đầu này sẽ đóng vai trò kết nối nội dung của câu chuyện với nhau. In the prologue to the tale, Chaucer tells that one April evening, a group of pilgrims comprising all kinds of people gather at the Tabard Inn, just outside London, after the supper, aiming at reducing the tedium of the journey. The innkeeper proposed a plan. Each pilgrim would tell 2 stories on the way to Canterbury and 2 on the way back. He who was the best storyteller would be offered a free supper at the Tabard Inn. The innkeeper would act as a judge himself. The next morning, sunny and beautiful, the pilgrims, with Harry Bailey, the innkeeper, and Chaucer, 30 in all, set out to Canterbury. Như vậy thì chúng ta thấy Canterbury Tales sẽ là tuyển tập 24 câu chuyện trên con đường họ đi tới London. So now I will give you some general ideas about the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. It was first great work in verse in English literature, and it paints a vivid picture of English society. Each of his characters was given as an individual, typical of his country and his time. It has a variety of characters. For example, a doctor, merchant, student, carpenter, miller, lawyer, sailor, cook, some women, monks, and a pardoner as well. Telling the story according to the pilgrim rank of standing is one important trait of this work. So in the story, you will see that the pardoner, for example, will be the one that tells a moralizing tale. Next, you will watch a short video of the pardoner tales. 3 young men, death, and a bag of gold. And answer some questions below. 1. How many characters are there and who are they? 2. How did the young man learn about the death of their friend? 3. What did they decide to do? 4. What made the young man forget about death? And the final question is, what happened to the young man at the end?
Oh, yes, you did!
Hey, he's a friend of mine. Who killed him?
Why, Death did.
Oh, that guy again. Let's make an oath to find Death and kill him. Yeah! Hey, how come you ain't dead yet, old man?
You a spy for Death?
You're looking for Death? You'll find him over there.
We should wait till sundown before we take this back. Go into town and get us some drinks.
3 drinks, Governor.
Here, they're in bottles.
Have you got any strong poison?
So we get him when he comes back, and then our share will be even bigger. My old friend. Let's drink to more treasure.
The simple tale concludes that if you go looking for death, you'll be sure to find it.
So I guess that you have done watching the video and answer the question. So now let's look at the summary of the story. 3 young men were drinking at an inn when a funeral passed by. Who is dead? They asked and were told that it was a young man just like themselves. At first, they could not believe it, but the innkeeper told them, yes, it's quite true. The traitor Death has killed this year all the men, women, and children. One might think that Death lived in that village. The innkeeper was probably speaking of a village where the plague has carried away all of the inhabitants, but the young men were a little drunk and they understood that Death really lived not far from the inn where they were drinking wine, and so they cried, since Death is such a wicked traitor and has killed our friend, let us go and kill Death. But before we go, let us join hands and promise we shall help each other and be as brothers until we find and kill Death. So they joined hands and promised to be true to each other and set out. Very soon they met an old man on the road and asked him, do you know where we can find Death? Yes. Why? Said the old woman. I just saw him in that little wood over there. Do you see that big oak tree? You will find him just under it. When the 3 young men heard that, they ran till they reached the tree, and under it they found a large bag of gold. Then they forgot all about Death. They were so glad to have found so much gold. They sat down by the bag, and the youngest of them said, we shall now lead a jolly life and spend all this gold. But first we must carry it home, and that we must do by right, when no one can see us. If people see us, they may try to rob it, or they will ask us where we took all that gold. And when we tell them, they will not believe us and think we have stolen it. So till night, we must wait here and guard the gold. It is still long till night and we shall soon be hungry. Let one of us go back to town and fetch some wine and food. The other 2 will stay here and guard the gold. They agreed to do so, and the youngest was sent for the wine and food. When the youngest has gone, one of the two were left to guard the gold. They said, "Why should we divide this gold between 3 when we might divide between 2? How is that?" asked the second man. "Why?" said the first. "2 are stronger than 1. When he comes with the wine and sits down, you will pull him down and struggle with him as you were playing, and then I shall stick my knife deep into his side." And so these two decided to kill the third. Meanwhile, this third was thinking on his way to town how I should like to have all the gold for myself. And then he thought he would buy poison and kill both his friends. He bought 3 bottles of wine, put poison into. The third he kept pure for himself, and went back to the oak tree. The 2 other men killed him just as they had decided, and then said the first of them when this was done. Okay, you can spend 1 or 2 minutes to read the poem. So when you finish reading, you will find out that at the end, all 3 men were dead. All of them finally can find death. And now come back to all of the questions that you received earlier. Number 1, how many characters are there and who are they? Question number 2, how did the young men learn about the death of their friend? Question number 3, what did they decide to do? Question number 4, what made the young man forget about death? Number 5, what happened to the young man at the end? Now everyone, let's come back to all of the questions that we have earlier. We have 5 questions in total, right? So now I will provide you guys with the answer. Number 1, the answer is the main characters are the 3 young men, and important minor characters is death. Number 2, the answer is 3 young men were drinking at an inn when a funeral passed by. Who is dead? They asked and were told that it was a young man just like themselves. At first they could not believe it, but the innkeeper told them, "Yes, it's quite true. The traitor death has killed this year all the men, women and children. One might think that death lives in the village." Yes, and question number 3. The answer is they decided to find death and kill him. They joined hands and swore a solemn oath that they would be brother in any circumstances. Question number 4, the answer is the bag of gold. Number 5, the answer is all of them died because everyone planned to kill the other for the gold. There will be 5 questions. The first question is, find details in the story to prove that the 3 young men were not real friends. Number 2, what are the themes of the Pardoner's Tale? Number 3, what is Chaucer satirizing in the Pardoner's Tale? Number 4, what is the moral of the Pardoner's Tale? Number 5, what do you think the old man and gold symbolize? Now I will provide you guys with the answer. There are some details to prove that they are not real friends. The first detail is that 3 young men were drinking at an inn when a funeral passed by. The second detail, the 2 older men decided to kill the third. And they say, "Why should we divide this gold between 3 when we might divide between 2? 2 are stronger than 1. When he comes with the wine and sits down, you will pull him down and struggle with him as if you were playing, and then I shall stick my knife deep into his side." One more detail is that when the youngest man bought poison and killed both his friends. Question number 2, the answer is greed and hypocrisy. Question number 3, the answer is being drunk, humans' greed and hypocrisy. Question number 4, the answer is you reap what you sow, and greed is the root of all evil. Number 4, the old man symbolized death in disguise, and gold symbolized materialism and humans' greed. Here is the summary of the lesson. So the lesson covers some main points below: the context of the Middle English literature, the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer, and a summary and an analysis of the story, Three Young Men, Death and a Bag of Gold. Thank you for listening and hope to see you guys in the next lesson.